An activity analysis of vacuuming.
Vacuuming is an activity that involves pushing a vacuum across a flat surface using arm strength and core stability to suction up dust and dirt in the environment. Vacuuming is an instrumental activity of daily living that pertains to home establishment and maintenance. Vacuuming also pertains to hygiene and personal health and also reduces sensitivity to dust and dust mite allergies. Vacuuming requires the use of a vacuum and a flat surface that needs to be cleaned, such as a floor or carpet. There needs to be adequate space to maneuver the vacuum. The location must have access to an electrical outlet for plugging in the machine. It is important to adjust the vacuum cord prior to vacuuming to avoid tripping or falling during the activity. It is a societal expectation to vacuum frequently for hygiene and is expected to be completed during daytime hours due to the loud noise. Speech and communication skills are required to vocalize emergency situations or to prepare others by communicating any needs while performing this task. It may be necessary to move objects and furniture out of the way prior to vacuuming. These are examples of problem solving, sequencing, and higher level cognitive functioning. Today, Madison will be demonstrating the general range of motion and movement of vacuuming. Extension and flexion of the elbow to uncoil the vacuum cord. Then flexion at the hip with plantar and dorsiflexion to stabilize the body. Ambulate to the electrical outlet from the vacuum with wrists and hands neutral, with slight flexion and extension at the knees and hip, and flexion and extension of the scapula. Flexion at the hip, knees, and plantar flexion to bend towards the outlet. Then extension at the shoulder and elbow to push forward with the use of finger dexterity to plug the vacuum cord into the outlet. Pull back by extending at the hip and knees while letting go of the cord. Ambulate back to the vacuum. Then, supinate the wrists to grab the handle of the vacuum with your dominant hand and grasp the cord with the non-dominant hand. Plantar flexion of dominant foot on the brush while holding the handle and flexing shoulder to pull back on the vacuum with dominant hand. Return dominant foot to midline using flexion at the knee and hip. Then press the start button with non-dominant hand by extending the elbow, shoulder, and the metacarpal joint of the pointer finger. Alternating plantar flexion and dorsiflexion of each foot to shift weight from one leg to the other while extending and flexing the elbow and shoulder to move the vacuum. Cross the midline with dominant hand and continue to flex and extend hip joint to push the vacuum back and forth. Adduction of dominant leg back to midline using flexion and extension of hip while flexing elbow and shoulder. Then extend elbow and shoulder to return the vacuum to the starting position. Once again, extend the elbow, shoulder, and metacarpal joint of the pointer finger to turn off the vacuum. Ambulate back to unplug the device. Then return back to the vacuum to recoil the cord. This concludes Madison's demonstration of able-bodied vacuuming. Giovanna will now demonstrate possible adaptations for clientele that are fatigued or suffering from kidney disease. Because of Giovanna's kidney condition, frequent urination is a common side effect. Therefore, it is recommended that she use the bathroom prior to vacuuming. One adaptation to make it easier for her to perform this task is for her to use an outlet at waist level. This is easier because another possible symptom of kidney disease is lower abdominal pain. As you can see, Giovanna needs to stop and take a rest during vacuuming to preserve her energy and avoid fatigue due to her disease. This concludes our presentation.